Hello everyone, welcome to the Science Behind Airborne Transport, a video presentation explaining how humans took over the world by Scott, Div and Nathan. Firstly, we will be discussing how an aircraft achieves flight. In order for flight to occur, four forces are needed. Lift and weight are two of them. As explained in the artifact, lift is the force that is responsible for enabling an aircraft to remain airborne. It is generated through an airflow turning towards a solid object. Airplanes generate lift through their wings. The wings allow for an exertion of downward force on air as it flows past, creating lift in an upwards direction. This works in accordance to Newton's third law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Weight is the enactment of gravity upon an aircraft which pulls an aircraft down. Weight and lift oppose each other, henceforth weight needs to be overcome by lift for flight to occur. If the lift force is stronger than the weight of an aircraft can accelerate upwards. If the weight force is stronger than lift, the opposite would occur and an aircraft will accelerate downwards. Thrust and drag. The other two forces are thrust and drag. Thrust is the force that accelerates an aircraft in a forward direction. It is generated through a propeller or a jet engine. This is due to the reaction of accelerating gas, which occurs inside propellers and jet engines. Drag is the force that opposes thrust. It is the force that causes resistance in an aircraft's movement, commonly known as air resistance. Drag acts in the opposite direction that an aircraft is flying towards. Newton's second law of motion can be linked back to drag and thrust. The second law states that the acceleration of an object is dependent on the net force acting upon an object and the mass of that object. Next, we will be discussing the negative impacts of aviation. Negative impacts, humans and war. As aerospace engineering has advanced, aviation has had horrible consequences. Since the first flights, over 60,000 people have lost their lives to large plane crashes. The development of engine turbines and aerodynamic understanding has allowed international governments to create over 40,000 weaponized jets, which are practically invisible, carry missiles, and accelerate up to Mach 2.83 or 3,500 km per hour, the distance from Perth to Melbourne. These bombs deployed by aircraft have caused millions of deaths. The mass destruction of cities caused by global conflict are directly linked to aviation, mainly a plane's ability to carry resources and travel quickly internationally. Negative impacts, biological. Additionally, aircraft have been utilized by humans to carry drugs, weapons, and propaganda across international borders. Planes have brought diseases, such as the novel coronavirus and invasive species, into other countries. For example, Australia's ecosystems have been corrupted by introduced cane toads, which ruined the natural environment and caused cultural damage. The toads bred and expanded across the country, eating insects, agriculture, and wreaking havoc on the delicate East Coast. This also cost the government millions of dollars to control. Planes and transportation have allowed for these atrocities to happen.
Negative impacts of aviation. Environmental. Commercial aircrafts account for over 2% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. When planes fly, they often dump human waste and fuel over the environment. Planes create gas, light, and noise pollution around the planet, especially in and around major cities and international airports. Aircrafts have a large impact on localized areas and also contribute to climate change. Also, humans have used aviation to explore ecosystems all over the natural world, distributing waste, garbage, and environmental destruction everywhere they go. This kills animals and even spreads illnesses to other people who have existed in isolated communities, like in the Amazon. Pros and cons of airborne transport. Pros. Number 1. Time. A plane travels much faster than any type of transport, and is one of the reasons everyone prefers traveling in the air. It helps you reach a destination faster and more effectively. Number 2. Transportation of resources. Planes can move valuable goods such as food, water, PPE, people, and even spread culture and positive ideologies across the planet. Number 3. Safer than cars. Airborne transportation has lower congestion and collisions between planes. Alright, now moving on to the cons. Cons. Number 1. Cost. Airborne transport can be quite expensive sometimes. Certain airlines are more expensive because they provide more opulent comfort to their passengers. Number 2. Burns fossil fuel. Planes use a lot of aviation fuel because of the weight and the ignition that is used to generate movement on and around an aircraft. Number 3. Human and animal life. Plants harm the earth with greenhouse gas emissions and can spread human waste across ecosystems.
Next, we will be talking about the development of scientific theories and concepts.
Development of Newton's laws and theories of gravity and aerodynamics. Sir Isaac Newton, one of the most well-known scientists, worked to develop these laws and theories. He worked in physics and maths for a large amount of time. He developed the theory of gravity in 1666 when he was just 23 years of age. 20 years later, in 1686, he presented his first three laws of motion. After a lot of debate and disagreement between Newton and other scientists, Newton was not listened to. Furthermore, Isaac Newton displayed his first three laws in Principia Mathematica Philosophiae Naturalis, which is a book that he wrote.
Accidental and purposeful breakthroughs in aviation. Avionics refers to the study of electronic systems used on aircraft for communication, navigation, collision avoidance, and many other functions. Avionics came around in World War II when many fighter jets were conflicting other nations. Advancements such as autopilot were created, which helped fighter pilots. Autopilot was a great engineering tool as it helped the plane fly steadily even though the pilot was absent. Modern aviation would struggle a lot without autopilot. Pictured is a modern cockpit, technological developments included, and pilots performing complex maneuvers at a public air show, which simply shows how amazing aviation has become over the years.
Predictions about the future of airborne technology. Humans have been on a mission to go into the air, stay up, and travel across the world. From the first transatlantic flight to giant jets that allow globalization to occur, aviation has helped to build modern society. In the future, planes will travel efficiently, using less resources. Airports will increase in accessibility, and it will be cheap, fast, and comfortable to travel internationally. Drone technology will be implemented so that trading resources can be distributed locally and afar.
Our final evaluation. Through the trial and error and development of our scientific understandings on aerodynamics, human beings were able to ultimately achieve flight. It was once humanity's greatest dreams, and now our goals have been realized. The process did not take too long. In fact, ever since the 1903 Wright Flyer, development has been speedy and ultimately greatly beneficial to humanity as a whole. Airborne transportation is basically an essential to our common world, allowing not only for us to travel, but for materials to be imported, exported, and sold across the world. Going forwards into the future, development of aircraft technology will only become more efficient and innovative. Aircrafts will require less resources to run, and technology will become more optimized to allow for faster travel, while still being safe to humans. We may see large advancements in the area of autopiloting flights, which will ease the job of the pilots. The life of humans living in current society will only improve as we see advancements in the aerospace engineering field. Development of aircrafts will allow for more comfortable experiences for anyone who boards an aeroplane. Final evaluation, part 2. Particularly looking at the development of spacecraft technology, we may see humanity colonizing certain planets that we have thought to be impossible. Astronauts and scientists alike will benefit greatly as developments into the spacecraft field will allow for exploration of the final frontier to become far easier. Lastly, in conclusion, we have learned how humans use their scientific knowledge to advance their understandings of aerodynamics, gravity, transport, and engines, so they're able to create amazing things like this. A piloted jet creating a sonic boom, breaking the sound barrier and traveling extremely fast. We hope that you enjoyed this video and learnt a little bit about aviation.